Hello, how's it going, everybody? Good to see you. Today I have a little bit of a video here for us, just kind of expressing some thoughts of mine on your reading or one of your readings from this week. And so the reading for this week is titled, "This is for the Brown Kids, Racialization and the Formation of Muslim Punk Rock." And this comes from you out of the Journal of Sociology of Race and Ethnicity, written in 2017 or published in 2017 by Amy McDowell. Amy McDowell is a scholar of race and ethnicity at some college somewhere. I should probably know, but University of Mississippi, it looks like. In any event, I gravitated to this article when it came out. It came out when I was in graduate school at USF, and I've read it a few times along the way. I've used it a few times, and I've taught it a couple of times. But depending on when and where you're watching this video, this is an article that in this particular class, I'm hoping to get you to think a little more about the cultural and how the cultural and the social kind of mix together. And so for this class in particular that I'm teaching right now, we're talking about music, culture, diversity. And so this article, I think, kind of does a good job at capturing all those topics. So long story short, right, McDowell introduces us to this possibly new music genre or new music culture that maybe you've heard of this before. I hadn't when I had read this, but the culture and the genre that she introduces us to is, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, but Takwar, Takwakor, okay, and basically this musical genre. I was reading up on it. Now I'm gonna forget, but it was like based off of like a novel written years ago by some author, and kind of engendered by a group of Muslim punk rock kids who didn't feel like the way that punk rock was set up really was set up to, like, their scene didn't include them. Like, they didn't feel included in the kind of punk rock scene of their area. And so they kind of like made this new culture called Takwakor. So Takwakor, again, subculture, not very popular. I'm sure I forget where she did her research, but I'm assuming like West Coast, and like probably parts of the East Coast with New York and stuff like that. Anyway, that's probably where you'll see some of these subcultures popping up. But it's basically meant to be a form of expression and inclusion for not only Muslim people, but just people of all kind of like oppressed or kind of forgotten about identities, right? And so it's an open scene that challenges traditional norms of Islam, and so not like conservative Islam, but like accepting, inclusive Islam, if you will, right? Also, as far as I can tell, very punk rock, right? So very anti-capitalism, very anti-nationalism, things like that, right? Which, think of it how you want, but that's the kind of current of, from what I understand, this type of musical genre. Anyway, why I like this is, so I'm just reading here out of the article. This research uses the case of Takwakor punk rock to examine how pan-ethnic youth collectively respond to anti-Muslim racism in culturally provocative and non-religious ways. Okay, so how does this kind of pan-ethnic group of people, meaning like Muslim people are pan-ethnic, meaning Muslim people can come from all over the globe. Like it's not like they just come from one country or something like that. There's Muslim people that come from all ethnicities. That's what pan-ethnic means. But they use, so Muslims are they're not homogenous group. They're very, spread out, a lot of different cultures, a lot of different norms. And so it's interesting to see something like this, how people come together using around a certain culture or cultural object that they then use as a way to collectively, advocate for themselves or respond to, in this case, anti-Muslim racism. That's why I like the article, because it's kind of like how culture is used to collectively respond to, and in this case, racism or other kinds of forms of oppression. So long story short, these folks that engage with this subculture create a racialized identity. They call themselves brown kids, okay? And they use the music as a platform in which to call out whiteness in punk, like, mainstream punk rock music. And also, they use it to redefine punk rock in favor of religious and racial outsiders. How they do that, what they're doing to kind of, not what the music's doing to them and how the music's affecting them, but how they are engaging with this culture and with this music in ways that they advocate for themselves. And I think that she does a really good job of kind of pulling those out. Like, this is where it's happening, this is how they're doing it. So the first thing, this is a qualitative study, so it's done through interviews. Looks like she conducted 20 interviews, and also looked at music and tours and art and website forums and whatnot as well. And she interrogated the ways that they kind of reconstruct punk rock for themselves, for who they call the brown kids. Okay. And one theme she found is that they keep whiteness out of their space. Now, this doesn't mean that they keep white people out of their space. Maybe that happens, but she was looking at ways that they keep what she calls whiteness, and many call whiteness out, right? And so whiteness is not, it's not like they're rejecting white people, rather rejecting any kind of ideologies or any kind of practices or behaviors that center the experiences of whites in the US as the normative way of thinking about something. I don't know if that makes sense, but instead of, it's rejecting any kind of thought, ideology, behavior, practice that is only really explains a white experience of the world. Does that make sense? I don't know. I haven't been with you all. This is an online class, so I can't work with you. Can't work. All I have is this video button here. We'll make do, I guess. So they keep that out. They keep that dialogue out, okay? And they make it about them. It's about us, the brown kids. White folks, you can be here too. I'm not saying you're not allowed to be here. What I'm saying is you can't kind of reinforce, you can't push forward a white agenda. That's her words. Just going off the author here. Just going off the study. Just an argument. It's not the word. Just an argument. It's one way of looking at things. Again. So, rejecting whiteness. Maybe through forms of dress. Maybe through lyrics that they sing in their songs. Things that they say. Right? Rituals that they have. It's for them. Other thing that they do that the author finds is kind of related to that, right? They make it for who they call the brown kids, redefining punk in favor of racial and religious others. Okay, I was watching some videos on this, and the calling in of racial and religious others. You're welcome here, right? I was watching a show just before I did this on YouTube. I was watching a Taco Core show, and the lead singer got up to the microphone and was like, this song goes out to all the gay and lesbian queer people, out there, just like the calling in, like, this is for you, this is for us. So also they don't, it looks like, shy away from traditional Arab headgear, but headwear or headdress, just certain they make their Muslim identities visible through the music that they're engaging with. Chanting and things like that. So, I don't know. I think that just this study and this reading does a good job at showing how Talkable Chord punks collectively resist anti-Muslim racism and do it in non-religious ways, right? And so I think it is maybe opens up the picture a little bit more to think about how culture is being used. How is music being used in ways that either include or exclude certain people or certain individuals. So I don't know. So I have a conversation, a kind of a discussion question for you. So my question would be like what kind of music do you listen to? And does it reflect kind of your social identity of like who you are? Like, do you use music in any way along the way to kind of like fortify like who you are as a person? And does that cross like does that come across like racial lines, gendered lines, socioeconomic status lines, right? You know, I can tell you that growing up, music to me was very important in my identity. But anyway, I like to hear from you. So that's what I got for you today. Hope everybody's well. Looks like we stayed under 12 minutes here, so that's good. And I will see you all soon. Bye.